Well, let's run the clock back 14 years ago in September. I didn't know that my father was about to die. Frankly, neither did he. And he was a person who was certain, absolutely certain down to the marrow of his bones, that there was not going to be any such thing as an afterlife. If my family wanted to discuss that topic, we had to wait for him to leave the room. And we did often enough. So there I was. It was about 9:15 at night, Mountain Time, getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth, and suddenly the strangest thought I ever had dropped into my head right here on the left side, just above my ear. In my own voice, I heard, would it be too weird to tell Ted, I told you so, I told you so, if he happened to realize suddenly that he has an afterlife, the thing he never wanted? And I thought, it would be indeed very rude indeed, and I cannot wait, considering all the things he'd said to us throughout my lifetime. I could not wait to get one back on him, I confess. So I turned off the water at the sink, toothbrush still in hand, came out into my living room because there was more room to jump up and down in the living room than there was in front of the bathroom vanity. And I thought, I'm just going to practice. Jumped up and down yelling, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. For quite a number of minutes. I'm not sure what the neighbors thought. Anyway, I thought, that has to be one of the weirdest things that I have ever done. And now we will just quietly shut the book of weird things I've ever done, with that being the present top page. Well, the next day I went to work as usual, and around 9:30 in the morning I got a call from my sister. I wasn't at my desk at the time, so she left a message. You won't be able to do anything like this, about this, said my sister in her usual blunt way, but just call home as soon as you can. And the only thing I thought at that point, Sally, was, I wonder whether it's my mother or my father that's passed. And I thought more likely it was my mother, because she had had emphysema and been on oxygen for the previous decade and basically homebound for the last 5 years. I thought far more likely she had passed. So I dialed home and my sister said, it's Dad. And I said, what? What do you mean? And so she, basically gave me the time frame, and they were waiting for the coroner to come pick him up and so forth. And I said, among the rest of our conversation, Barbo, I had the weirdest thing happen to me last night around 9:15 my time. This weird idea that would it be too rude to say I told you so to Ted when he finally discovered he had that afterlife he didn't think he was ever going to get. Oh, said my sister. I said, don't tell Mom just yet. We'll talk. I'll call her tonight and she and I will talk. So I called Mom later in the evening and she said, well, they thought he died between 10:30 and 11 p.m. And I said, Mom, there's 2 hours difference between Ohio and Denver, Colorado. And she said, oh. So my mother and sister had no problem believing that potentially Ted had said something to me on his way out. And when we went and sprinkled his ashes in a river where he used to sail as a boy. I told the story to his larger family, several of whom were appreciative, and all of them at least were willing to take it on board to some degree. Nobody was saying, oh, that couldn't have happened. Oh, you're crazy. Now, if we had done this a few decades before, that would have been the stock answer, because that side of the family just was not very open to psychic phenomenon. My siblings were. My mother became more open to it as a consequence of hearing everybody's tales. She was able to buy in somewhat.